exist in a world beyond ours. This is Formula One.
Hello, my good friends. Welcome to episode 3 of the F1Pitbox. It's sort of our preamble to the start of the season. Coming up tonight, I have why are Formula One fans so hypocritical? I'll look at the teams that have launched their cars so far. We'll go through all of the news that is been going on around the world. And also, have Formula One missed a trick? Formula One missed a trick with the regulations. I need your assistance. Oh, happy Valentine's Day, by the way, as well. Now, if you watched episode 1, you would have seen me hint at BWT perhaps joining Alpine after they left the Aston Martin group. Well, that's definitely happened. However, there's still no news on Otmar or Davide. Maybe that is why they're going to be the second last team to launch their car. I wait in anticipation. Hey, do you remember Marco Mattiacci? You don't? I know, he wasn't very memorable. However, he was the big boss of Ferrari road cars in the United States, did an incredible job over there. And then all of a sudden, Ferrari dismissed Stefano Domenicali and brought in this guy, Marco Mattiacci. When he got to Formula One, he had never been to a Formula One race, but he was put in charge of the team. His tenure didn't last very long, but he must be held in very high regard because he has just been signed by Aston Martin as the Global Chief Brand and Commercial Officer. This is a man who increased Ferrari sales in America by 20%. Stroke of genius from Mr. Lawrence Stroll. Speaking of those past, Danny Kvyat, you remember he was a Ferrari test driver, drove for AlphaTauri, Toro Rosso, a bit of Red Bull as well. Well, he's going into WEC, World Endurance Championship with the G Drive Racing Team. He will compete in LMP2. Now, what is wrong with this picture? Look at it. I'll tell you what's wrong. And this is where Formula One fans are a little bit hypocritical. Ever since young Lance Stroll entered into the world of Formula One, the majority of comments have always been completely negative. This is despite the fact that the guy's got 2 podium positions already, a pole position as well. But everything was so negative. He's only there because of his dad's money. All of these paid drivers, they shouldn't be there, this and that and whatever. Hana, blah, blah, fish paste, etc. Everyone had everything negative to say about Lance Stroll. Now, all of a sudden, he comes out and says something about the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and he's your hero. Okay, maybe not yours, but he's a hero of so many others. Come on. All we've ever said in Formula One is consistency. We know the final Grand Prix was a bit of a shambles when it comes to the interpretation of the rules. And we are only going to find out on the 18th of March, which is the first day of free practice. And if they come out and bizarrely reverse the decision, Red Bull are going to have to change the number of 1 on Max Verstappen's car. Let's leave it there. The longest planned season in Formula One history will begin under the lights in Bahrain, starting on the 18th of March. And it'll run until the 20th of November in Abu Dhabi. Bahrain has just signed an extension on their contract to host Formula One. Not by a year or 2. They are on the calendar until 2036. That is, in my calculation, 14 years from now. And if you sit there and say on a scale rate, and let's say they're paying $30 million, blah, 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 blah. By the time they get to 14 years from now, I'm probably at $50 million. Just work out how much money that is costing. And we in South Africa want to race. Whoa, we need to find some money. Also, the great news, and this is what we all want to know, the times have been released for the start of all of the Grand Prix. So here is a graphic with all of the times on there. Don't forget, wherever you are, just look at GMT, add or subtract the hours, and that'll give you the times of the start in your own country. Also, I'm going to be back at the Baron Fourways this year. We're going to do about 14 Grand Prix. It's going to be bigger. It's going to be much better than last year. I'm so excited. I will keep you updated with all of the details, but we're going to be doing a lot of races. I would really love you to come and join and support. And also, the wonderful thing is we will go into the Sunday evenings as well. In the past, if there were late races that started 5 or 6 o'clock, we would sit there and say, nah, we're not going to do it. No way. This year we're doing it. So Bahrain, first Grand Prix is a 5 o'clock start. Warning you in advance. How stunning are the new cars? After the first 2 reveals, I can't call them launches. I was concerned that all of the teams would just give us a decal presentation, you know, of the stock FIA Formula One car. But Aston Martin, McLaren, and now AlphaTauri today have definitely shown us a lot more so far. I say this with caution, as I don't believe that what we're seeing right now will be what we see come FP1 on the 18th of March. Which, by the way, is also the day that we'll get the report of the last race. Now, before I show you all of the cars, have Formula One missed a trick when it comes to the tires? This year, we go from 13-inch to 18-inch tires. They look super, super impressive from Pirelli. They look divine. They suit the cars. But in theory, the regulations this year say that we should get closer racing, less dirty air, etc. But the one thing about racing is the wider the tire, the more air is going to be dispelled. So why did they go for a wider, bigger tire as opposed to going for a smaller tire? Now, I'm no engineer, and maybe you can assist me with that, but surely the biggest problem that Formula One has is following through high-speed corners. That's where the problem is, because that's where you want to be really close to your other drivers, through the high-speed corners. And I think that maybe with a thinner tire could be a bit of a solution. I don't know. Please let me know your thoughts. Before the cars, Haas were the first, then Red Bull Racing, and we couldn't see too much, although some engineering buffs have been speculating as to what these cars are attempting to do, push rods, pull rods, you name it, far too higher grade and above my pay grade. But I'm beginning to learn to understand all about the wash of the air, etc., etc. But the cars do look very, very interesting. So here are the 5 cars that have been presented to us so far. What do you think? I will say this, because of these regulations, unlike previous generations of Formula One where we have had new regulations, initially I thought certain teams are going to get this horribly wrong. And after reading and thinking about it and looking at the regulations for this year, I don't think many teams are going to get things wrong. They're going to get small little idiosyncrasies wrong, small little tricks that other teams may have found. And I believe the evolution of the 2022 cars is going to be dramatic. And it's going to be week by week, race by race, where teams figure out what other teams are doing in order to optimize their cars in the best kind of capacity. Teams should quickly figure out what their opponents have done and should be able to implement the changes rather quickly. Maybe anything can and usually does happen in the world of Formula One. Anyway, this week, Williams, Ferrari, and Mercedes are all going to be launching their cars. So we'll do another update a little later on in the week. And then thereafterwards, we will only have Alpine and Alfa Romeo are only going to launch their car to us after the Barcelona test. But at the Barcelona test, we apparently cannot get any footage. I'm sure we'll find something. Oh, one final thing. This is coming on Wednesday. Until then, take care. Ciao, ciao. Oh, my goodness.
They exist in a world beyond ours. This is Formula One.